This is problematic for Kemi Badenoch, isn't it? How can she turn things around for your party?
Well, the thing about those opinion polls is that they are at best a snapshot, they are not a prediction, and there is a long time between now and the next general election. We've already seen with Labour that their popularity has absolutely crashed, and they have done that in just 15 months. Reform are obviously very pleased about these opinion polls, but really what we're seeing is whenever they put forward any proposals, those proposals fall apart, often within hours of being made. What Kemi is doing, what the Conservative Party is doing, is making sure we've actually got a credible plan to recover the economy from the disastrous high tax situation that we will inevitably inherit from Labour. We've just heard earlier today Keir Starmer refuse to rule out increasing VAT. We know that Rachel Reeves is going to have to put up taxes in the autumn budget, and what we're seeing from Reform is that they want to increase the welfare budget, and that means inevitably increasing taxes. So we are doing the professional hard work. We'll let the flimsy headline-grabbing announcements, we'll leave that to Labour and Reform, and the hijinks to the Lib Dems. We're the only party that's got a credible plan for actually reducing taxation and getting the country back in the right direction.
It's not flimsy, is it, when you've got 113 polls putting Reform ahead, and all polls suggesting that the longer Kemi Badenoch leads the party, the less popular she and it becomes. Would you have been a better leader?
Well, I ran for leadership. I didn't get it. I'm completely comfortable with that. What I've also said is one of the things that damaged us as a party was this constantly cycling through leaders. What we need to do is highlight, and we are doing this, highlighting the disastrous job that Labour are doing in government. Increasingly now that Reform are running things in local government, we're starting to see the absolute disaster that they are when they're in charge of anything. Of course, we have got to rebuild our reputation. That will not happen overnight. But we don't rebuild reputations by making increasingly undeliverable promises, like we've just heard from Steve Reed, who's claiming he's going to build houses despite the fact that he personally opposed house building in his own constituency. We're not going to rebuild credibility the way Reform are doing it, which is making announcements that don't even last 24 hours before they fall apart. We are doing the professional hard work that is what you have to do to regain credibility.
As a journalist, I always need to remember more in less time. And you know what I really hate? Taking notes. It wastes loads of time and you forget stuff. And that's where Plord comes in. This is the Plord Note, a sleek, pro-level AI note taker that records and creates notes for you. Whether you're listening to a long podcast, stuck in a meeting, or on an important call, Plord captures everything at the tap of a button. Then it gives you a smart, structured summary with all of the key takeaways. It even recognises different speakers by their voice, and you can choose from bullet points, to-do lists, or even mind maps. Your data's safe too, with end-to-end encryption and global privacy compliance. And with Plord's built-in AI, you can search everything you've ever recorded just by asking a question. It's slim, magnetic, under 30 grams, lasts up to 60 days on standby, and over 1 million people are already using it. Hit the link in the description and use code GB10 for £10 off your Plord order. Save hours of time and never miss a detail again. Link in the description below.
Can I just say that what lacks credibility is Boris Johnson having last week announced that he was very proud of what he did with immigration while he was Prime Minister. So between January 2021 and June 2024, 4.3 million migrants came into the UK, including 3.8 million with long-term visas. He thinks that he's very proud of this Boris wave. Are you proud of it?
Well, Boris is the person who is best to speak about the decisions that Boris made. When I was Home Secretary, I recognised that the visa regime that we had put in place as a government, my predecessors put in place, in order to address the number of people who had left the country during the COVID era, was far too generous, and I set about changing that visa regime. Opposed, I would say, by the Labour Party at the time. Because of the decisions that I made as Home Secretary, net migration was halved, and had we stayed in government, that number would have continued to come down and come down significantly. Labour have failed to implement most of the proposals that I put forward. They scrapped the border control measures that I was putting in place. They scrapped the Rwanda scheme, and we're now seeing small boat arrivals go through the roof. So Boris is best placed to speak about the decisions Boris made. I made decisions as Home Secretary which brought net migration down by half.
But when you were Home Secretary in the 12 months leading to June 2024, net migration was 738,718. That's the second largest number or jump since 1948.
And Camilla, whilst I was Home Secretary, so the immigration that happened whilst I was Home Secretary was because of the decisions that I inherited from predecessors. When I was Home Secretary, I changed the visa
Tory
regime,
predecessors.
And the result of the changes that I made was a halving of net migration. So I'm very proud of the record that I had as Home Secretary. And the simple fact of the matter is, Labour are now trying to wrap themselves up in the flag because they've realised their open border attitude. Remember, Keir Starmer saying all immigration law was inherently racist, realising how unpopular that is. They're trying to wrap themselves up in the flag. Reform's deportation plans falling apart within 24 hours of its announcement. The Conservative Party actually doing the hard work, thinking through how we actually make these changes, whether it be judicial reform, whether it be changes to the international treaties that we signed up to. We are doing the serious work, and we'll let other parties do the, as I say, we'll do the headline grabbing stuff, which they know will not work.
Okay, but let's talk about those international treaties. Can you clarify where you now stand on the ECHR? Because previously you've been hesitant.
I stand where I've always
to leave
stood.
The
no,
ECHR.
Where I've always stood.
It's Kemi Badenoch. Well, what's the answer? What's the answer there?
My position has always been the same, and if you guys can't report it, that's your fault, not mine. My position has always been that leaving the ECHR is not a silver bullet solution. That is what I've always said. That is what those are the exact words that Kemi has also said. That's what Lord Wolfson has said, and he is putting forward an analysis of what we would need to do in totality to be able to deport the people that we need to be able to deport, to protect the things that we want to protect, and he has not issued his report as yet, but Kemi made it really clear that just saying something like, oh, we're going to leave the ECHR, may well not be enough to actually achieve what we need to achieve. And we need to think about it in a more holistic way. That's what Lord Wolfson's report will be about. That is exactly the position that I've always taken. And that is different to the Labour position, which is nothing to see here, everything's fine, and leave well alone. And the Reform position, which is make a throwaway statement and pretend that that is enough, and it absolutely isn't.
All right, so we avoid any further misreporting of what you've said. Can you clarify whether you did say in private, when you were Home Secretary, that you thought the Rwanda plan was, quotes, bat shit crazy?
No, I didn't. What I said was that our almost exclusive focus on that was bat crazy. What I said, and I said this when I was Home Secretary, we had a range of activities to including the Small Boats Operational Command, including returns agreements with Albania, including tightening up the enforcement of illegal working, and the Rwanda plan. The point I made is only talking about the Rwanda plan meant that we weren't talking about the range of other things that we're doing, and that was what was crazy. That was what I was frustrated about. And when I became Home Secretary, I made sure that as well as actually moving forward with Rwanda, we also spoke about the other range of things. And actually, the person that I had that conversation with, funny enough, was Yvette Cooper. And her betraying and misreporting a private conversation, I think, was rather unprofessional.
Okay, but isn't there a contradiction at the heart of your argument? Your argument is as follows. Labour are terrible. They've been terrible in the office from the very beginning, and they just get worse. Reform are making up policies as they go along. They can't be trusted. None of their claims are credible. And yet still the Tories are tanking. So even though Labour are terrible and Reform can't be trusted, you're still tanking in the polls. Why is that?
Well, people will increasingly see. So Labour are, I think, their position is irrecoverable. It will still take us time to rebuild the trust of the electorate. And in the meantime, Reform are making completely uncredible promises. Now, those statements from Reform are superficially
but why are you
attractive.
tanking?
But ultimately, as we have seen, when and wherever they are actually in positions of leadership, their delivery completely fails. And voters will increasingly see that. Now, it is going to take time for us to recover our credibility. I'm explaining, Camilla. It will take time for us to recover our relationship with voters. But what we're not going to do is be blown off course just because one person, and it is a one-man band. Nigel Farage is an incredibly effective political communicator, but if you look at anyone and everyone behind him,
he's got some Tories with him now, hasn't he?
Up to the job. Well, I think.
What, Danny Kruger?
The recruiting of Danny. I think the recruiting of Danny is part of his succession planning. He clearly doesn't trust the other people within his party, so he's getting somebody in to kind of carry the flame forward. But I don't think it will work. I don't think that people will be tricked by Reform for very much longer, because whenever and wherever they are in charge of anything, they fail the people that elected them. People will see that, and in the meantime, we will continue building our credible arguments to get things done, to reduce tax, to secure our borders, to protect our country, to build the homes that we need. Unlike Labour, unlike Reform, which are frankly two sides of the same coin in their lack of credibility.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for joining me this morning, Sir James Cleverly.